Hi, Clover.
Hi.
Good evening to you. My name is Nicolette. I am the podcast creator titled You're Worthless. Read that again. Juxtaposition of your very soul. First off, thank you so much for sparing your time to be interviewed today. I really appreciate it. And to be honest, you're the first influencer from Instagram that actually reached out, that actually said yes to be interviewed today. So thank
Oh,
you very, very much.
oh,
And I think I stumbled upon your profile while I was scrolling, and something struck within me because I read something about it. You having had to go through your own trauma. So I
mhm.
said, wow, why don't we invite her into the show, and then let's dive in.
Sure, yeah. Well, first of all, thank you so much, Nicolette. I'm very honored to be here today, and I love the title of your podcast. I mean, ultimately, we all want to be worthy and all of the trial and tribulations that we go through in life, and sometimes we're just, experience to mirror us back that we're already whole and complete. So, yeah, I'm
That's
very, yeah,
true. Yeah. A lot more people are actually, I'm beginning to realize that a couple of years back. So I think platforms such as this, even though I'm just small potato, we call it in Malaysia, small potato. If it helps one person, why not, right? Yeah.
that's
so,
it. Yeah.
so okay, Clover, tell us a bit of your background. Yeah.
So I was born in Hong Kong, and my childhood was pretty smooth sailing. And then I moved to Canada with my family when I was 13. And so my first language was Cantonese, and then I picked up English as an immigrant. And, being an immigrant, there's like, struggles with that, learning the language, being immersed in the culture, and feeling like I was not enough because I was already, yeah,
I
in
like
high
that.
school surrounded by Asians, but they were Canadian-born Asians. So I
Mm,
almost felt like there's an invisible hierarchy where
right.
I'm like even less than someone who's an Asian in Canada because I'm an
They
immigrant.
started off that side, right? Then,
Yeah. And so their, English ability, the way they are immersed in the culture were already there and established. Versus for me, I had to learn from scratch. And sometimes you have different programming coming from a very Asian background. And so it can be confusing to kind of integrate the Western and the Eastern culture together and just trying to survive teenagehood and high school all together. So really, my turning point, though, was when I turned 16, where my parents separated. And so that was a very difficult year where I basically have to wake up to being an adult very quickly. I was kind of their messenger because
oh, in
they were,
between, because they weren't speaking to each other. Not
that's
a good
right.
term.
Exactly. They weren't on good terms. So I had to be basically being an adult right away and almost parent my parents. And now
Mm.
in hindsight, that's what I was doing. Really holding space for my dad, for his pain, and my mom kind of almost being her like counselor friend every week that we
Oh
go
my gosh. Okay, let's talk about that in a
on.
bit. But yeah, just go on first.
And so I think after that we just I had to cope really because I don't think that was meant to happen to a 16-year-old where my dad almost committed suicide and then I had to like really like learn how to drive and then pick up my first job, go into my first relationship and like all while I was just in Canada for 3 years. So just like what is happening? And so when I guess like progressing into later years, and I actually went into the military at the age of 20, yeah, in Canada, just for 1 year. And I'm
Okay.
very grateful. I have I think personality for like really gave me really an opening to seeing life as everything as a lesson. And I think that really is derived from a book that I read. It's called Many Lives, Many Masters. And it's
Mm.
a psychiatrist that took a patient down past life regressions. And eventually, really, the premise of the book or the moral of the story that I took away was that every life there's ups and downs, but every life there are like soul lessons you're here to learn. So then from then on, it really solidified that every challenge I have in life, it just is about how do I make that a lesson. If I learn from it, then great. And I don't really attach it to be good or bad per se. It's just like, okay, cool. I learned something. Then it's not a destinations versus the journey, right? And so I think it gave me a lot of resilience to keep trying and falling, keep trying and falling, right? Like you said earlier, before the podcast. And then I got married at the age of 24. No, what? No, I met him in 24, so I married at 26. And moved to Hong Kong with him. And it didn't work out. And so by 30, I'm already divorced, right? Like early divorcee. Which
Same, except
good for
mine's
you.
earlier. I stayed in my
You
marriage for
earlier.
only 2 years. So I got married when I
Wow.
was 26. I got
Yeah.
divorced when I was 29. Okay, so that's like, but that wasn't my birthday officially. So okay, two, three
Right.
years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's someone even earlier than me. Amazing.
I
And
mean, like
I don't,
at the end of 30, we've done with that. We've been there, done that,
right?
right? So it's like it's different. It's not the
You
path people usually take. But yeah, sorry to cut you off. I mean, I
no,
love
I
this topic.
love that. No, it's nice to meet someone else that went through that journey. And I think when we were so young, we didn't know what we were doing. Of course, I don't think we ever get married to think we'll get divorced. And also the all the lessons,
That's
right? That
exactly
came,
what I said. Like nobody has this mindset that they're gonna walk down the aisle and say, "Okay, I'm gonna get divorced one day." So, but just let me go through it. But there were for me there were red flags. I chose
Mhm.
not to pay attention because to me love is like ah. But
Yeah.
I've been yeah. I think we're wiser.
Mhm.
What's after 8 years? Yeah,
Yeah.
the first time I met my ex-husband. So yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. No, it's great to meet someone else because it felt kind of lonely in that journey. I think there were more people talking about divorce now because
Yeah.
we're older and it's more common, especially after the pandemic. But I
Yeah.
think before being like you're even like not even 30, people are trying to get married at 30. You're like divorced at 30.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And so that journey since after was kind of isolating, but also liberating. Because now I no longer give a F about anything else
I
because
love
you have
it.
broke the narrative. Anyway,
Yeah. Exactly. You've already branched out. So it's like, you know what? I'm gonna craft the life that I want to live on my own terms right now.
exactly. And that is what my brand is about.
That's why. Okay, so wow, there's so many things to unpack right there. Like we can go from your personal life to the coaching and then back to personal life. So there is no, I don't have a rigid structure. So let's
Yeah.
just go with the flow then. Let's talk about your coaching program for a bit.
Mhm.
Like, what is it?
Yeah, so I'm currently a holistic money coach. And so since my journey from the divorce, I really realized that money is really the foundation of a lot of things to survive in this world,
Hmm.
as realistic as it is.
Yeah,
And nobody's going to come save you from the lessons that I learned from my divorce. And so then I have to take care of myself
that's
for the
true.
rest of my life. And the first foundation then would be money. Now, being female, Asian, and being in North America where I am,
Mm.
nobody ever teach you about personal finance. Very, very rarely. I
Mm.
think Asia it might be a bit more talked about with
Yeah,
money, not
yeah.
so much North America at all.
No,
It's very taboo. Yeah.
like it's I mean, I'm say I'm leaning towards like that side of the country. But it's like capitalism and
Mhm.
patriarchy with money and not so
Yeah.
much in female with money, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And so because of such a taboo topic with money, there's a lot of shame that comes with it.
Hmm.
And so the jargons that is in the financial industry is also very intimidating, which
Yeah.
is the exact experience that I felt with my ex-husband. He would come
Right.
home and say all these words, and I had no idea
Was
what they mean.
was
No,
he
he was
white?
Asian.
Oh, he was Asian. Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
But he was in the finance industry, but more the corporate side. And
Hmm.
so, but I think the thing with being in the financial industry is that you want to seem smarter. So you use all these big words and make this super complicated. So then people then have to rely on hiring you to
Mm,
empower them with money or let them manage it for you.
right.
So I saw that and I felt that very much so when I was with him.
Mm-hmm.
That when I broke out of the marriage, I realized, okay, I'm going to learn all these jargons and I'm going to, be painfully in the
The
information
process of learning
and
it.
process of learning it. But then realizing I can simplify this. It's actually really
Yeah,
basic. And
exactly.
then doing really the simple steps to start taking control of our finances. Now, because money is only one part of the equation, though, because the more I've traveled, by the way, I'm a flight attendant with my
Right
professional.
now?
Yeah, and so I've been
Oh,
a flight attendant for 18 years. Yeah, so the more I traveled the world, because I had the resources, the travel benefits, the more I expanded my horizon and also doing a lot of inner work, self-development, healing because
yeah.
of the divorce that,
Yeah.
started it all. Um, and meeting a lot of financially independent people,
Mm,
I realized that in order to look at money, it has to be holistic. It
right.
has to be the emotional and the psychological side of money, which dictates your behavior and your actions. And
Mm,
then into education that is more the logical side, and the planning then will work. So
mm.
an analogy that I love to use, it's like if you're giving the perfect diet plan, but you hate to eat the food on it, you're not going to stick to it.
Yeah.
So that's the same thing with money. If you're like deprive yourself so much of your budget and you just hate life,
Yeah.
you're not gonna stick to it. And then you feel all these shitty things about yourself. Oh, I didn't can't stick to the plan, the shame. And oh, I feel guilty that I'm spending all this money. And they're like, oh, I don't know, like I'm so scared. I don't know how to manage my money, so I don't care anymore. And then it just becomes this
Just
whole
let the money manage itself and
exactly,
you
oh,
will,
work itself out.
yeah, it'll work itself out. Like, no.
It doesn't.
It doesn't. Yeah.
It
So I guess
compounds more.
exactly. And I think it's a very slippery slope. Once you just let go of your control over money, you can just dwindle down the hole, and years later, you think to yourself, well, how did I get myself into this? Why didn't I? Why didn't I wake up to this earlier? And but it's not to say it's never too late. You know, it's never
Mhm,
too late. I
exactly.
think it's the awareness that's people need to be acutely open and just to know, okay, I'm in a bad shape, might maybe financially or even physically, right? People can have all these sentiments about themselves, but I think being aware and also being open to ask for help, you see, because sometimes people are they have ego. For those that have already reached a certain maybe goals in their life, like, okay, I have managed to be at this level, so I don't really need any help. Like, how can you help me, right? Or it's like the other one, the other side of it, like, oh, I'm already at this shitty hole, might as well continue. No, I this is hopeless,
Mhm.
it can't be helped.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I have fallen into both buckets before. It's pulling myself out of it, and sometimes being alone. I've realized this after the divorce as well. Like, I have I struggled with wordlessness. Like, who am I lost, and then I threw myself into working after the divorce. Like, okay, my love life is not working at this point, but I'm good at my job, and that backfired as well. Again, like you said, I think the key is being holistic, being balanced in all areas of our life. Thank you, Clover. So, all right, that was a very good opening point to the topic today. So, in simple terms, how can one regain mastery over their credit card? Because I think that's your expertise. That's where you come in.
Yeah, yeah, I'm having a workshop coming up, so thank you for asking.
Right.
It's actually happening next week on Monday, Pacific time, so it's perfect. But well, first, it's really the same framework of how I coach people with money. It's I actually first address, like you said, the awareness. Where are you right now in this journey?
So people don't want to know, they don't want to look. Yeah.
Yeah. And that it's the being honest with yourself
Mm,
are
yeah.
because we cannot go to where we want to go if we don't know where we're starting.
Yeah. That's
And
true.
so that first step, it's very confronting, it's
Yeah.
very uncomfortable, but
Mm,
if you feel worthy enough for yourself to start taking charge of your life, this is where we're going to start. Now,
mm,
understanding that a lot of emotions are going to come up, that's why I immediately go into money emotions. So it's about forgiving yourself and allowing yourself to feel the emotions in order to heal them. So I have a certificate in embodiment coaching. So I also actually teach people how to feel their emotions in their body and allowing them to release.
mm.
Studies have shown that it only takes 90 seconds for an emotion to be felt and release. But most of us, especially in Asia, being in North America, such a hustle culture, we always suppress our emotions. And so we won't even allow a millisecond of like, oh, I feel fear, oh, I feel guilt, or you don't even know what you're feeling.
Yeah.
And then they get stored in the body, they will always be remembered. Like you
Yeah.
think that you just like disregard it. No, it'll make me come back as back pain. You're like, oh, I'm just having back pain. But actually, it's something more deeper than that. And so allowing that release as we go with our emotions, and then really looking at the strategy of credit cards, for example, and how, like, if you want to do cashback, if you want to do like travel rewards, what kind of benefits you want to maximize using your current expenses. I want to like stress that is not to use more than you already are because that kind of defeats the point,
Yeah.
and not go into debt. But I also talk about the debt payoff strategies to pay off your bills quicker if that's where you are. And so, zero judgment. It's just simply observation of which stage. And I call it being a novice, an intermediate level, and also like a master level, and where you are in your credit card journey. And I dive deeper into that in my workshop that's coming up next week.
Awesome. You have a website?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Right.
We can link it below, or I can say it here. It's
I'll be sure to include that in the caption when this airs.
thank you.
So, Clover, can you share with us what are the common misconceptions about credit card that people have on credit cards?
Yeah. Um, Credit cards, the misconceptions it's that they think that, well, it depends on which stage you're in. So if you're like a novice, then people are just paying off their minimum payments
Mm,
a lot of times, and that it's you're gonna rack up that debt very, very quickly. Yes, it
right.
doesn't affect your credit score as much because you're still paying on time, but that interest rate that is in the credit card will accumulate very, very quickly, like a snowball.
Right.
So realizing what the interest rate is, first of all, a lot of people would have, or a lot of credit card companies have like promotions and they get you in. But then the fine print is that after a few months, then the interest rate goes up a lot higher. So if
Yeah,
you
because
don't,
it's a variable rate, right? It's not a
that's
fixed
right.
rate. Yeah, yeah.
Usually
DLR.
fixed, depends on the specific credit card. And so
Mm,
if you're careful, then once this jumps, that's where you start accumulating those interests. And
mm,
so reading the fine print is a very important thing to do in terms of anything money related. But most of us don't because it's boring.
yeah.
We don't know what to look at.
Yeah.
mainly. And we just kind of let it go. And so that would be, I would say, one of the biggest one that I'm surprised by, that when I work with a lot of my own clients, they actually don't know what the interest rate is on their credit card.
Yeah, I mean, I was one of them too before.
But you're more empowered now.
I don't know, how many credit cards would you recommend that one person should have, like a starter?
Okay, so it again depends on your journey because everything is really personalized. I
Mm,
wouldn't recommend you starting this whole credit card game until
mm,
you're very good at paying everything on time and in
right.
full. Um,
Okay.
you have a decent credit score. The reason being, it's just I don't want you to just do this because like to get the points and stuff to get into debt because that defeats the whole
Yeah,
point.
yeah, I think the focus shouldn't be the cashback or the points that we're after, right? It's more on managing the finance and achieving that financial, I would say freedom. I think peace of mind. The
Yeah.
peace of mind, yeah.
And so if you've mastered that part though, you're like, I pay my bills on time all the time, in full all the time. You're already good at that. Now we can do a little bit more tricks. Then
Mm,
we say, okay, well, I'm using these money anyways, so I might as well use them smartly. So what kind of cards can I use to accumulate those points or cash back quicker?
right.
Some people just like they don't think about it. They use whatever credit card that they signed up with years ago, and there's like no benefits on it whatsoever. So that's in a
Mm,
way a wasted opportunity. But
mm,
now, if you know exactly how much you're spending around every month, you can then time your purchases with the sign up bonuses. So, for example, a credit card could be like, oh, if you spend, I'm talking North American terms, $1,000 US in the 3 months, which is like 300 something every month, very doable for most people, then you're going to get X number of points, right?
mm,
And then they waive the first year annual card free. So you don't even have to pay. So that's perfect because now you don't have to pay anything for this card. You're already spending that money anyways, and then all of a sudden you have these extra points.
yeah.
So this can get very complicated. At the beginning, I don't advise people to do it so complicated, but basically one card or two cards a year, this is what I do to start getting used to the rhythm of like how this works. And
Mm,
also learning how to time them, right? And monitoring because it takes a little bit of like skill to make sure
mm,
that you're on top of it. Like,
right.
oh, like when is the 3 months up? Like you might have to
Oh,
put in calendar reminders, like, okay, the 3 months is up now. And then maybe you can now use another card to get the same thing. And so you can actually keep going with it to get as many points as possible. Now, a lot of people have the misconception that if you do that, it's going to hurt your credit score because
because
you're like, oh,
you're signing up new credit cards every time? Is that what you're
yeah,
saying? Ah,
yeah.
okay.
So that's actually not true. It depends on your strategy.
Mm,
So how credit score is calculated, one of the factor is how much credit do you have available.
right.
The more credit you have available, actually, the better it is. And if you use something called the credit utilization ratio, if you fall under 30%, say an example, you have $10,000 in credit in total, combining all the different credit cards, and you use only 3,000, which is 30% or under every month. Now you're in a very good ratio and you pay them off every month very on time. Over time, the credit card company is like, wow, you have all that money, but you never use more than 30% and you
Let
always
me
pay
offer
everything
you
back.
more.
There you go. Then you're trustworthy. So that your credit score actually it's better because of
Mm,
that. So don't be afraid to open credit cards if you
yeah.
already establish good habits. And that's why I
Mm,
have to really emphasize that point. But it really hurts you if you're the other spectrum where you're
spectrum.
just using cards to like, oh, max it out. I'm going to use it all. And then you can't pay it and you accumulate more debt. That's when it can get you into trouble. And so it really depends on which stage you're in terms of your credit card journey. And there's again no shame in that. And it's simply observation of where you are.
Thank you so much, Clover. I think the work that you're doing is really beneficial, especially for Gen Zs, because they're the ones entering the workforce now, right? And these generations, they will look to their parents, which are the millennials, like us, I suppose, and the Gen Ys, and they will see growing up. That would, because when your childhood is where you adopt kind of belief and the, what do you call it, the parenting style, the misconception about money, how you view money and your relationship with money. So I think um, people like yourself should be out there more often. Think you should speak on stages. So I mean, podcasting, being on podcast is a good platform because I come from a accounting background too. So some of the jargons that you use, or the concept, I can grasp it, but it's not that, it's not the same for the other people. So thank you, thank you.
Mm, thank
Right. I think this is the I touched about on that just now. How would you define your relationship money, or how should it be defined with
Mm,
different people? Yeah.
yeah. I see them as kind of the relationship model from actual relationship like partnership.
Okay.
So if you've heard of the book called Attach, it's called the attachment styles for relationship.
Oh, okay. The different attachment styles. Right. Okay.
Mhm. And so I kind of just like model that after also with money.
Mhm.
And so it's like, are you anxious with money? Because some people have a lot of money or lack thereof. They are constantly micromanaging it. Or they're like
Mm.
every
What goes
dollar.
out? Yeah, like every cent.
Yeah. It becomes like a neuroses that it's almost like a coping mechanism, and then it
Mm.
becomes like it's consuming their life. So that's
I think
one.
a degree of control, like humans
Of
need
course.
that control.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
balance for
Yeah.
sure. But
Yeah.
when it's unhealthily anxious,
Mm.
where it's throwing you off in life, then that's one spectrum, right? Because
Yeah.
everything is a spectrum. And
That's true.
then we have the other side, which is avoidant. Now we're like, I'm not looking at the
Like
bills.
closing the eyes, like I don't want to care.
And bills are piling up on your desk and you're not opening them, the typical, theme that we see with people with money problems. Because it's like, oh, if ostrich
Yeah.
philosophy, right? Oh, if I don't see it, it's not gonna like
It's
nothing's
like
gonna
it's not there. I'm just gonna pretend it's not there. Oh gosh.
And so that's another thing. Now, those two are based on insecure attachments,
Mm.
meaning that they don't know what to do with it because it's overwhelming. So then they
Mm.
use some kind of coping mechanism to control as a method to like have financial peace, but
Mm.
it's not healthy. So the secure attachment, which is the balanced middle, if you look at the spectrum, is where, yes, there are moments where I need to learn how to control my money, but there are moments where, I can spend more than I, budget for, but I'm not going to freak out over it.
Yeah.
But I'm also going to look at my money healthily. So it's a
Yeah.
balance of, that it's going to go up and down, but you
Mm.
have full control. And even when you feel out of control, you can always come back,
Yeah. Realigning.
realigning all the time, and just understanding that that life is always up and down, and same with money that can fluctuate or whatever, and you don't have this like insecure control over it.
Mm.
So that's the key when I describe our money relationships. And how do you recognize which stage you're in? Again, awareness.
Yeah.
And not judge you for self for it, because shame is really the strongest emotion. And I realize also in Asian culture that keeps us stuck because there's so much
Mm.
judgment, all these noise that we hear. You
Yeah.
should be like that. You should be like that. Like we grew up with shame if you're
Yeah.
Asian.
That's true. That's
Well, it's
true.
perfectionist standard. You'd be like this, and then we get compared to other people all the time,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
Like, oh, that guy's making so much money at this job, and there's like all the gossip, your family, and it becomes this pressure, and you
Yeah.
can't even express it because, Asians, you're not supposed to express your emotions
Again. Yeah. Suppress.
these days, right? And
Yes.
so,
Face. Reputation.
yeah, exactly. And so then I'm now teaching the opposite model. It's like, no, acknowledge it, be vulnerable with where it is. That's okay. And that's how we actually start to heal those. But the more we run away, the more we suppress, the more we deny, they don't go away. They're still
Yeah.
there. It's gonna
Probably
bite
not
you
gonna
one
disappear.
day.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna come and bite us in the ass one day. You said something it was very glaring earlier, that the face, like, especially in Asian culture, it's a lot of, and I talk a lot about this in my podcast. Like, we tend to compare, and it's not just about the I don't know what you have top to bottom, but also how much you make, what is your position at this and this and this. But then we don't know that that particular person, what they show in social media or outside, could be a total 180 behind the scene. It's okay. There's so many layers to unpack this, but I think it should all start with yourself. And you also mentioned about the spectrum on the relationship with money, balance and avoidant and secure. So I think when you're balanced, it's that I know we need to control, but it's also okay to let go and let loose, because what you put out, you'll always come back multiplied, right? And also that's this is what I learned my origin. I was born in Malaysia, but my origin is Filipino, and I have a lot of
Mm.
Chinese friends. So this is their mantra in around, growing up. Like, when you spend something, it's gonna come back tenfold. So it's a good mindset, but not to overuse it or abuse it, because again, then we'll spiral down to the other end of the spectrum, like you're not. So balance. But I think my question to you personally as well is, how do you take yourself out of it? Like, what was your journey like, and your tips on how to, if your scale is on the side, lopsided, how do you make it like this?
Mhm. Yeah. The first part, it's always back to the emotions first, which most
Mm,
people default to the strategy, like the plan, what
mm.
should I do? But the problem of you not doing is not that there's something wrong with you. There are
Oh,
just
yeah, yeah, yeah. Because,
emotions
oh,
behind.
yes, yes. Like,
So
that is so true. Yeah,
yeah. And I think that is what shame means.
yeah,
Shame
yeah.
means that I'm not good enough, I'm not
Mm,
worthy, I
mm,
don't deserve this, all of that stuff, right? Why am I
yeah.
so bad that I can't do this?
Oh my God. Yeah. Again, comparison. Like, it's not external people comparing, you yourself
You comparing yourself.
subjecting that. Yeah, yeah. And ooh, oh yeah.
Yeah. It's the beating yourself up that is consuming so much energy in your
Mm,
field. I'm very
mm.
spiritual as well, and so we're going to talk a little bit in the quantum realm.
I
And
love
so,
it.
yeah. And so the resistance, because money is energy, right? And so if you have the stuckness in you of like, oh, I'm not good enough, and you're just like constantly beating yourself up, and so even if you take the action, it's not coming from higher frequency and vibration of love and intention
Because
and
you
help.
don't believe it, right?
Yeah,
Even
and you're
even
forcing
if
yourself.
they sign up for your course, but they don't fix their, I think, the belief in themselves, and it's like, I can do this, and it's like, I'm never gonna, or their narrative could be, let me sign up, but the back of their head, it's like, I'm never gonna make it through. It's only it's right, it's correct. You're only gonna be attracting that. Oh, scarcity, right?
Yeah,
Scarcity.
exactly. Scarcity versus abundance mindset, right? And the tricky part of the ego is that
Mm.
even judging that is shame too. So it's like almost like what we said, oh, I'm judging myself for judging.
Yeah. Again, yes. It's like double-edged sword, like layered. Like I'm judging myself for judging. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
So how
totally.
do you untangle that? It's literally like, here is what it is. Okay, I am not good at money. Okay. Is it your identity? And a lot of people, when you wrap yourself around like I am, instead of
Mm.
like my behavior is not good at money, but that's not who I am. And when you
Mm.
do, then you're like, okay, I can objectively now work on the problem instead of like, oh, because I'm so wrapped up in the shame cycle of like, I am not good enough, then it would just keep perpetuating. And so, back to your first question of, okay, how do we start then tipping the scale from anxious or avoidant to secure, is to really stop judging yourself and forgiving yourself in the process first. And as soon as that unlocks, which by the way takes a little bit of time, or very quickly, is really a one moment of decision if you
Yeah.
want to forgive yourself. But
Yeah.
it could take a little bit because your body's not familiar. In fact,
Yeah.
it's very scary because
Yeah.
we want to hang on to something that
Mm.
feels certainty, which
Familiar. Yeah.
is, which if you're feeling worthless or
Mm.
you're so good at beating yourself up and wanting to be really bad at money, then it actually is more comfortable to stay there.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you start allowing yourself the freedom to want to open yourself up to be more abundant, your body will actually be like, this is the unknown, I'm scared.
I'm scared. Yeah.
Yeah.
What is
And so
this feeling?
that's a second emotion that comes, right? So it's
Yeah.
always emotions. And so once that's, you have a tool, which I teach in my program, how you can start processing them in your body. That's when, okay, now we're going to do the work, the strategy. Okay, how do we now get you from, maybe very micromanaging with your money or not looking at your bills, whatever spectrum you're on, to, okay, these are the steps we can take one step at a time, slowly, to get you better. That's another part. It's like we want to go from 0 to 100 like that. We're like, us doing like a 1% change. You're like, nah, not good enough. Again, the not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was so sneaky to keep telling you you're not good enough. Like we're all talking about worthiness now, right? Now, right? And so it's just like how many ways can we recognize that the you're not enough narrative is keeping us stuck, and that's the victim,
Mm.
right? And so just
Perfect.
seeing it for what it is, and like, I see you, ego. Thank you for protecting
Thank
me.
you. Yes. Yes.
And give it gratitude, which is a higher frequency,
Oh,
right? Instead of shaming, because that now you judging the ego too. So there's an
that's
other like thing.
true.
So it's
Yeah.
like everything that is, including the negative emotions, including your self-judgment. You're like, you know what? I judge myself because of what? Because
Yeah.
my because I want to do well, because I'm a good human being, because I
Mm.
care about the value I give to the world.
I
And
know I
just
have potential. Yes. Yes.
your body will feel different.
Yeah.
Like that narrative all of a sudden is like, wait, oh, I no longer feel like this like heavy energy in me. And when you judge yourself, what happens in your thought? You're like, thank you, judgment, because I know you just want me to do better.
Mm.
Like just that, like
Wow.
right
Wow.
now,
That was very
talk about,
powerful.
right? And then that judgment actually just needs to be acknowledged. In fact, if you see it as like a character, they call it in the what is it, in therapy, called the internal family systems. Every voice in your head, it's like a family member that has served purpose.
Oh, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah, and the very judgy auntie. It's like, nah, 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 comparing, should do better. Oh, you gain weight,
Yeah. Yes, yes, yes. It's okay, Auntie.
um,
We get it.
If people judging you is because they judge themselves more.
Themselves too. It's
And
often a reflection of
yeah,
themselves, you see?
it's always
It's not us.
projection. Yeah. And so that's when you're like, if you actually say, thank you, Auntie, I see you come from love, she would
Mm.
literally be speechless
She
because
would be
what you
like
say,
floored, like, oh, I didn't expect that kind of reaction from you. And that's when you
how
turn it
you
all
switch.
around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's when you
And
take
it
it off.
almost now, then she would check herself. She goes, ooh, wait, why did I do that? Like
Mm.
you don't even, because the thing is, the moment you judge her judgment, then there's like this
Again.
battle going, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The moment you say, like, that's why love is always the answer, ultimately, even to the
Every
negative.
yes. Yes. Even to the divorce.
Yes, exactly. I always say it's the best thing that happened to me. I'm so, so grateful for that.
Precisely.
Right.
Same.
Yeah.
Wow. Again, you said it. I think you frame it beautifully in a way that it all comes to full circle, and it just conf- I wouldn't say confirm, because it's like I didn't know, but I've always known this is just connecting with people with the same through the same frequency, right? And it's really, you attract what you are, not what you want. And
Yes, exactly.
thank you, Clover.
Well, thank you.
Could you share us a sneak peek of your streams of income at the moment? Maybe only high
Ye-
level.
Yeah.
Yeah, your streams of income.
So right now I have my flight attendant income, and then my coaching income, my workshops income, my dividends that is coming from my investment portfolio, and
Right.
also growth that comes with it. Yeah, so that's the few that I have so far. But then I would be diversifying more in the future, and create more courses that would be a bit more passive. But for now, those are mine that I'm developing in the works.
Mind blowing. So, how do you divide your time? How do you juggle?
I'm very grateful that as a flight attendant, because I have a bit of seniority, and is a North American airline, I actually have a lot of time off. I only
Really?
work about 12 days a month, and that's full time.
Oh, really? 12
Yeah.
days a month. Okay.
Yeah, and so all of the other times I can just like have the freedom to build my business, connect with people, and travel, which is a big value of mine. And I believe that the value that I can give people has to be proportional to the value that I've earned for myself, right? And
Mm,
so in order for me to give to the world, I have to level up myself. And to me, that's authenticity. I have to embody what I teach. And so
yeah.
to me, I'm constantly growing, learning. There's everyone is a teacher. And so traveling to me, meeting you, for example, here, it's been really a gift to me that I have this access, and learn from just all of us. Yeah, that we all have wisdom to share within each of
Yes.
us.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's mm, it's like everything you said. It's like in we're definitely speaking the same language. Like, again, you're one of the, I would say, soul sisters that I've actually met through my podcasting. So there's another one, I think two. Yeah, we it's like the childhood, like at that time we were speaking about something that she sees like a very small particle, but it's more clear. What do you call that if you can see something, right? Clear
Oh,
picture.
no, clairvoyance? No,
Yeah,
clear.
something like that. And then we connected that way. And then there's, oh yeah, there's another one. She said her quote, like, "Go big or go home," and I literally brought my board. That's like my vision board. Like, there it is. So I was like, and right now you coming to me and saying that, yeah, everything that I think about and I try to embody, it's like, I think collectively we are congregating, and I feel like we are healing the world. Like 2024 onwards, it's the year. Like I've always, I think a couple of years back, it's the, again, the survival mode. I was in that. but right now it's time to switch to abundance mode. I mean, no matter which spectrum you're in, which stage of your life you're in, um, and and technology has made it easier. You and I've never thought that we could connect like this in different parts of the world. We're
Yeah.
16 hours. Yeah, you're 16 hours behind, but still, here we are talking, and that's very beautiful. And as a millennial, I've always thought that okay, growing up, we've seen so many of the things that happen, and I thought that okay, we're not really in the best time of our lives right now. But every generation has its pros and cons, right? The Gen Z is also, it's tough for them. Mental
Very.
health is their problem, like us. I think for us it was getting ahead in life, I guess, and then our parents would be parents were boomers, so they're like okay, just surviving and just making sure that the kids are off to school, they have stability. So yeah,
Yeah, every generation has a theme.
yes, yes. Every generation has a theme. That's right. And it's just, I mean, again, now we're going into spirituality. The earth has been around for billions of years, right? It's just a cycle. And I mean, average lifespan 80 years old right now, maybe 100 plus, depending on the advancement in the food that we eat. Anyway, it's not really going, but I'm sure we're going to turn that around as well. Again, the juxtaposition, the counterintuitive part of it, paradox. But again, 80, 90, 100, it's not long. So
Mm-hmm.
I guess you just have to find yourself, be authentic. I think that's the most important thing because there's only you. And yeah, just make your mark regardless of how quirky you are. Like I had that notion before, like before I started my podcast. Podcasting is not big in Malaysia, but I think it's gonna be in a while. So I'm getting on that bandwagon.
Love that. Yeah,
Um,
early adopter.
thank you. And this is on Spotify, but I haven't been able to monetize it yet. I'm only monetizing it through Podmatch because it's a platform, and lucky enough, I think it's the universe also aligning the stars. They come to new podcasters and they match guests. So all in all, I get to have new guests that want to talk the same topics that I put out on my profile.
Mm.
So I get to connect. It's like I'm learning because everybody has their story every time I speak to new people, and also forging connection. Like who
Mm-hmm.
knows? Maybe you'll visit Malaysia. I'll visit
I love
Canada.
it.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. This is a friendship already.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
Okay, so Clover, I'm gonna pivot to a self worth question. Let's hear it from you. But I think we did talk about this in a bit. Self discovery often involves confronting our fears and vulnerabilities. So, how can individuals embrace these aspects of themselves to facilitate personal growth?
That's a really good question. I think you first have to be honest with yourself, with where you are. That's a really hard step. It takes a lot of courage.
Mm,
There's so much noise with
mm,
what everyone is saying, what their narratives of what life should look like,
mm.
just being married with kids with a house, right? The simple narrative.
And
If
a
you're Asian,
car.
a doctor,
Mm.
a lawyer, accountant, whatever, on top of that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But every authentic soul is unique, so your gifts are different. So what are they? It's
Yeah.
the self-discovery journey. But in order to do that, you have to get quiet.
Reach solitude.
So, right? Solitude, but also meditation,
Mm.
hearing your
Yeah,
thoughts,
yeah.
because I done a 10-day silent retreat where we sit for 10 hours a day, meditating for 10 days, not talking to anyone, no reading, no writing, no nothing.
Mm.
And it's not silent at all because the thoughts in my head were so loud. The more quiet the surrounding is, the more you can hear yourself. And then
Mm.
you start realizing, and what meditating is, it's not to get quiet per se, because the thoughts are always going to come, but it's about practicing how to be the observer, which
Mm.
is that it's your soul, but that's not your ego. Your ego includes like your identity, all your parents' narrative, all the cultural stuff, all your stressors in life. They're gonna talk, right? But that's not you. So how can
Mm,
you move yourself and be the observer and say, whoa, interesting. I have all those thoughts. No wonder I'm like stressed right now because I'm
mm,
beating myself up, I'm comparing myself, I feel I'm worthless. Then you have a choice to
mm,
say, oh, I don't need to listen to them.
mm,
And so I think simultaneously really getting quiet to what once you hear the thoughts, which is not you, then you start hearing your intuition. And
mm,
intuition is where your soul lives, and that
mm.
is your truth. And
Yeah.
so that is very unique and it feels peaceful. It's very fulfilled. It has nothing to prove.
That was the gold right there. You have nothing to prove because you are already worth it. I mean, you were born as, this ball of love. I mean, human itself, it's a light being. You're just on earth to experience the
Yes.
life experiences as human. That's
Yeah.
it. It's the part,
Yeah.
it's the remembering, right? Remembering who you are.
Yeah. Which is your authentic soul, which is the
Yeah.
spirit that lives in the human
Mm-hmm.
body, right? And
Mm-hmm.
the human
Mm-hmm.
body is just a vehicle for us to operate the soul, so or spirit that you can walk around and trying to fulfill your life purpose.
Fulfill.
Yeah. And so remembering what that is, it's like our lives work now, right?
Mm.
And that for me is self-discovery. But it's a
Mm.
little deeper than what people like mean when they go eat, pray, love, style. I
Yeah.
totally I
Exactly.
literally went to all three places too, like Italy, India,
I, I
shopping,
mean,
all of it.
Clover, one thing, I did that after my divorce. I went like on a journey, like I wanted to go on a solo trip, and then I came back, and no, it did not heal me at all. What I had to do was that I had to sit with myself, face my grief, and face it, like, because I was running. I was trying to. I didn't want to process the whole divorce. Like I was out. Oh, I'm finally free. I could go dancing. I could, meet my friends. I could be single again. But I never really sat with what I felt, like how I felt, like, you know, you felt depending on the circumstances, betrayal,
Mhm.
lies, and did I amount to that much only when I was like, how was I seeing, like, again, faulting myself because I chose to go into that marriage, and all this other narrative. I found out, like, the more you run, the more you're not gonna, yeah, you're just living in a lie, web of lies. And until you sit with it and process and really unlearn everything and relearn it, that's when true integration with your soul is, like, it's already, the soul is already there. It's just that we've probably just gone astray, and just have to come back and be kind to yourself, that it's
Yeah.
okay, it's not the end of the world. Yeah, I think a lot of people need to hear that. Thank you, Clover. It's like a therapy. Again, speaking to people is like a therapy to me. I love it.
It's so
I have a
true.
9 to 5 too, so it's
Do
like,
you?
I
Mm.
do, like, again, of course, still the Asian mentality, because I haven't built enough, like, to have it like full
Yeah.
time.
Right.
But I'm trying to, again, this is what I love doing. Maybe I'm giving myself 2 3 years, perhaps
Yeah.
I could go full
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, good for you. I'm excited for your journey. Yeah.
Thank you. And I also wanted to ask you, like, how did you start your workshop, your coaching program? Like, what was the step? Like, when did you decide, okay, I'm going to start this, because this is, I think I have something to say to people.
That is actually really interesting. During the pandemic, I was laid off for
Hmm.
like a year and a half. And so I didn't know what to do. And so I actually started a podcast.
No
And
way. You started
yeah,
podcasting.
and it was called Unconventional Asians.
Okay.
Because I always identify with it. I never felt like I was very conventional and just really trying to promote authenticity within Asians, talk about taboo topics that we don't like to talk about. And so I had a lot of life coaches and very spiritual people come to that space because I attract those people, right? By the name
Yeah.
of Unconventional Asians. And so there was a spiritual business coach that I gravitated towards, and I
Mm.
worked with her, and she's also a psychic. So
Mm.
downloads, like she hears things from the universe. And so when I worked with her, she said two things. She said, "You're supposed to do money with consciousness," very specifically, these two words. So at the time, I actually didn't really understand what that meant.
Yeah.
I got the
Yeah.
money part because I've
Mm.
always like learning about that. But consciousness, I'm like, what do you mean?
Mm.
That's when I need to experiment because it's such an abstract thing. I didn't
Yeah.
know how to like make it practical, how to integrate it. And so it took me 2 years actually to like go into a different space to try it on my own and then do pivot to work for a financial group where it's completely very logical and then understanding what the gaps are in that industry and then now
Mm.
back to okay, how do I integrate everything? So now my approach then it's more holistic, is where the first part is the conscious part, right? Being aware of your values. What do you, who are you? What's your authentic soul wants and your lifestyle? What does abundance mean to you? And then going through the money relationships, what are the emotional blockages? What are the stories that we've been telling ourselves that are preventing us from abundance? And then going into the strategies of like financial education and the planning that is specifically tailored to the individual, right? And so that's how I created the program, but it was a few years up to that led up to this point. And so
Yeah.
it's smart of you to keep your day job and then develop it on the side as you grow your net worth. And I'm still doing that even to this day. But I'm grateful because I have so much flexibility with my day job that I can simultaneously kind of develop both.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, what is your heart's greatest wish?
Mm. My heart's greatest wish is for people to start waking up to themselves. Oh, I'm feeling it because I'm feeling emotional. And
Mm.
there's like a very true resonance of something,
Mm.
then my body starts to want to cry. So that to me will be so beautiful because every soul is here for a purpose, for their own unique gifts, but we all forgot, right? And it's
Mhm.
about how we can help each other remember. And the
Mm.
world will really become a way more beautiful place when we do that out of love and not out of trying to prove anything, not trying for our egos to fight. And right now, the world is so divided that I think love needs to win.
Yeah. Love is the way. Do you have a mantra that you live by?
For me, it's really about seeing life, everything that happens to me as a lesson, because then nothing can phase you ever.
That's
Because
true.
like the shittiest thing that can happen to you is like, oh, okay, I learned something from it. Well, you know what? I gained something. So it's always positive in that sense, right? It's
Mm.
like in the hardships and in the struggles where you actually learn the most anyways.
That's true.
And so for me, the learning means that I'm evolving my soul.
Mm.
To me, in lifetimes, we're trying to get more higher and higher consciousness, like more and more aware to source, right? To universal
Yeah.
source. And but for
Yeah.
us to do that, we have to grow. And so
Yeah.
then lessons, all the trial and tribulations of life allow us to be that and getting closer to that light. And so that's why I can't say enjoy, but I appreciate the lessons, the hardships as much as the joy that happens. And then life is great that now you're then enjoying the journey instead of chasing the destination, right?
Destination. Yeah. That's true. Do you have anything that keeps you up at night? Do you sleep well?
I sleep well, but there are moments where even as I say that, it's never perfect. I do still have the narratives of like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm building a business. There are
Mm.
people coming to the program, or am I not providing enough value? And I think every stage of life that you level up, there's like a different sets of problems.
Yeah, that's true.
And so then you just keep having to be like, okay, I've expanded a little bit. Now, keep remembering again that this is the journey, right? And so right now I'm still, in that process, but I don't think it will ever end. And I'm just accepting that's the way it is for me at this moment.
I love it. So, last question. If you could create a quote right now for you to leave the audience listening and the world as your legacy, what would it be?
I love that. I actually wrote that quote years ago. So that's an easy one. I have to remember it though, because it's a little long. Yeah, well, until I get to find it. It's about having a superpower.
Having
Uh,
support. Okay.
let me find. Because I wrote my story. I don't know if you know this Facebook group called the Asian Hustle Network.
I might have stumbled upon it.
Yeah, and my story went viral, and then
Ooh.
from there was the first piece of viral content I ever had, I guess. And then it was the quote that I wrote there. And it's interesting because I felt like it was like source. Like I wasn't me
Mm,
writing the story. It was like a stream of like,
like being
yeah,
downloaded.
that used me as the vehicle to write.
Vessel, something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of crazy. But I don't know where it went. Sorry.
That quote must be really important. Like,
It is very important. That's why I'm like, ooh, we're gonna find this.
yeah, you want to make sure you get it out right.
Yeah,
I
that's why
know
I'm
it.
like, I don't want to like half-ass it. That's why I'm like, ooh, I gotta have to find it. Okay. All right, here it is. Um, the very thing that broke and scarred you is the very thing that is your superpower. Oh, it's the very thing that makes you the masterpiece that is you today, and that is your superpower. So let me repeat that. The very thing that broke and scarred you is the very thing that makes you the masterpiece that is you today, and that is your superpower.
I love it. It's again, I resonated because every time you encounter obstacle, it's like you level up after that. And it's like you evolve. Obstacle, heartbreak, anything, loss, you level up. And then you level up. Oh, what a beautiful conversation, Clover. And you are such a beautiful soul. I
Mm.
love the work that you're doing. It is something that I've in my mind, like already started to pinpoint like people that I've spoken to, and I wanna do like an event, probably just
Mm.
gather all of us and just have your own segment, talk
Oh,
about your
great.
expertise, and then we can get as many people from Nora, from APAC, from EMEA, anywhere in the world, and just collaborate. And it is something, and that no, I just thought of it now, like like
Mhm.
when you were saying something, and also I one of the guest speakers, she's also she read me something. She was a tarot reader, and she also had
Mm.
psychic abilities. And she said, "You are somebody that you're too creative to not make money."
Mm.
And I've
I
always been
love
the conservative one. Again, Asian parenting, always hold on to education like normal. Like, okay, I have
Mhm.
a salary that pays me, and then creative. It's been embedded.
Yeah,
Creative is not gonna get you far, but I'm
exactly.
getting to, yeah, embrace that. And she said that you should congregate people. She said along the lines, you're not the type of person who will, how do I say, you have a different twist. You stand behind people so that they can stand up for their own,
Oh, I
show
love
their
that.
own authenticity. And I think you just
Mm.
gave a good idea. I think I'm
Yeah.
yeah, I'll work on that.
Yeah, that would be really cool. I mean, I would fly to Malaysia for that.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I mean, perfect. And also a reason for me to go to Canada, right? Like,
There you go.
or maybe if most of the speakers in the US,
Or yeah,
who knows? Yeah, maybe we can all meet in the US. So
yeah, yeah. No, that would be so cool.
beautiful.
That because my dream is to also open up an Asia sector. So it will be North America, but also Asia, because I realize my audience mainly still North America, but there's a subset of Asians, mostly Southeast Asians, surprisingly.
Yeah.
So like Singapore, Philippines, Malaysia are the few that I have like come across that I really feel deep resonance and connection to. Not so much
Mm,
because I think that's very like materialistic and the consciousness is not there yet. Perhaps I haven't
right.
attracted. But yeah, so it would be very cool if we can like do an event in Singapore, Malaysia. That would be like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, yeah, you know what? Let me put more thought into that and
yeah,
then we'll connect.
yeah. Let me know.
Well,
Let me know. What
yeah, I will.
just
I will.
yeah.
So, when this airs, I will do some clips and then tag you so you can share in your social
Thank
media
you.
and I can also
Yeah.
get this as far wide as we can.
Yeah. Do you need like a picture of me or anything like that?
Yes, that would be great. Picture of
Okay.
you and then that's it. I don't want to complicate things. I will
Easy. Yeah.
post picture of you and then the clips and then
Right. That's
YouTube, Spotify, and it's
great. Thank you. Yeah, I've done this before, so I know how it works.
yeah, exactly.
Gives me new
You've
shoes.
done this. So like, it's a one man show, so it's kind of yeah, but we do it right. We do it.
Yeah, good for you
Well,
though.
thank you, thank you. Still trying to searching, but I'm finding the fulfillment.
No, that's the most important. And I think your heart, your soul knows, like once you're on the right path, it's time to build, but that's okay. Yeah, you're on
That's
the right.
true.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, Clover, for your time. You have a
Good.
great evening
Thank you.
and for the rest of your
Thank
night.
you.
Let's
Yeah,
stay in touch.
absolutely. All right. Take care. Have a
Bye
good day.
bye.
Bye.